and you feel it. Wake up to today's quest with Annie on Today 95.1 FM from 6 to 11 a.m. weekdays. Fantastic.
All right, 15 minutes gone past 8. You're listening to Today 95.1 FM. It's a Wednesday, the 27th day of November 2019. And you're hooked into your favorite breakfast show, Today's Quest. I am Annie Abdul Salam. We'll go through the newspaper review. We'll take all of that till opinion poll and wrap up with real talk. So welcome on board. Got Emmanuel here. Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning, Annie. Good morning, Nigeria.
Starting with the papers, we'll start with the Vanguard newspaper. In the Vanguard newspaper, we have a caption here that reads, 2023 presidency, northern leaders are not God. Ukuta is the one speaking there. 2023 presidency, northern leaders are not God. And another here says Buhari's third term agenda, not a matter of trust. Buhari's third term agenda, not a matter of trust. Border closure, Obasanjo backs Buhari. Border closure, Obasanjo backs Buhari. You find that story there in the Vanguard newspaper. And then moving on, we have lawyer tells court to stop extradition of Air Peace boss Onyema to the U.S. Lawyer tells court to stop extradition of Air Peace boss Onyema to the U.S. You have details of that story there in the Vanguard newspaper. We can meet rice demand during Yuletide. Processors are the ones speaking here. We can meet. Well, we'd like to see that meeting happening now. We can meet rice demand by Yuletide. This is coming from Processors. That's the Rice Processors Association of Nigeria. Border closure, Benin as dumping ground, problematic for Nigeria. That's what Obasanjo says. You find that also in the Vanguard newspaper. In the Vanguard newspaper, we have Nigeria remains a very attractive investment destination. Buhari is the one speaking there. Nigeria remains a very attractive investment destination. And will Senate make women equal to men? Will Senate make women equal to men? That is also a story you will find in the Vanguard newspaper. So let's get to the stories proper now. One caption in there earlier read, went Buhari's third term agenda, not a matter of trust. Speculations are increasing that President Muhammadu Buhari might be interested in running for a third term as president. Femi Falana, the human rights campaigner and lawyer, may not be the lone voice in the wilderness calling attention to this. He has, of late, been one of the more vociferous voices shouting in the hearing of Nigerians that recent happenings in the country point to the direction of tenure extension by President Buhari. The attack against press freedom and serial violations of court orders are some of the events Falana has identified as signs of a third-term agenda by an increasingly authoritarian administration. The belief is that an emasculated press and silencing of opposition elements are necessary precursors and requirements precedent the illegal act of tenure elongation. The much-lamented Protection from Internet Falsehood and Manipulation Bill, the so-called social media bill that is now confirmed to be a clone of a Singaporean legislation that was passed earlier this year, is the culmination of a series of attacks against free expression by the Buhari administration and their supporters. The bill, which has passed second reading, is the handwork of the All Progressives Congress Senator Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District at the National Assembly, sponsored against the backdrop of repeated complaints about so-called hate speech and fake news by the Buhari administration. The bill, which has a ring of Decree 4 under the Muhammadu Buhari junta of 1984, prescribes capital punishment for violators. With a complicit National Assembly that is under the control of APC, it will be childishly irresponsible of Nigerians to assume such a bill will not pass, in spite of a feeble attempt by the Ahmed Lawan-led Senate to distance itself from it last week. The bill passed second reading even after the Senate's disclaimer should be enough warning to Nigerians to be vigilant after months of shying from the fact Alhaji Lawan came close to admitting the obvious that he's a Senate that is out to rubber stamp executive bills and decisions, when he more or less said recently that the Senate need not worry about scrutinizing any request once it comes from Buhari. For Lawan, Buhari is something of an angel in human form and therefore cannot be wrong. Thus, the clamor for tenure extension that has been muted in the wake of series of medical holidays Buhari embarked on for most of his first term in office has assumed more prominence in recent times. Such was the loudness of the coordinated campaign to have the president stay beyond his constitutional 2 terms in the office that Buhari could no longer pretend not to hear. He took one of the earliest available opportunities after his latest holiday in the United Kingdom to address the issue. It was at the National Executive Committee meeting of the APC. Buhari told the gathering that the rest of Nigerians that he would not dare to stay beyond his second term in office, aside the fact that the constitution does not allow it. Buhari said he was too old to go for another term. In any which case, the writer says, well, is this something that we can take as trust? We trust him to say he's not going for a third term, even though Falana and his likes are continually echoing that the fundamentals for a third term are beginning to be placed. So, Emmanuel, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think we can never, at any point in time of this life, have shortage of cynics. And I see Falana on this particular score as being a cynic. He just want to believe whatever. And then even the pronouncement from Buhari himself, because we are not talking about another person seeking a third term than Buhari. And he has come out to say that he is not going to dare such. But Falana doesn't want to believe perhaps his ills. So it is their own. They don't want to believe, let them live. But I want to believe that on natural process, Buhari will not even go for a third term. He won't.
Why?
How many years old is he?
Why? Haven't you seen 80-year-olds?
No, I have. And they don't visit London the way he's doing. Because he knows he's not. See, when a man is not fit, for instance, in terms of health, he knows. But he will make effort to make him fit, perhaps to discharge his duties like the onerous duty he has at
the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think after this, as a statesman, it will be enough for him. But if he ventures into that terrain, which is always very hot, I know that Nigerians are subservient, but I have never seen their subserviency as far as their term is concerned. Well, there are those who could give him their history, their lesson, so that they can learn in case he's thinking about that. I don't want to mention them, but they know themselves, right. So he can learn a lot from them what happened.
Daniel Momo also joins us this morning. Daniel Momo, good to have you in the
studio. Good morning, Annie.
Good morning. So what do you think here? Buhari's third term agenda, not a matter of trust.
The fundamentals read out for me are not enough. They are not tangible enough to say, this is what I can hold on to believe that there's a third term agenda. He's saying about hate speech bill. So is hate speech bill now connected to third term? He's saying about court violations. Is court violation now related to third term? Absolutely not. The man in question has come out to say, at the place where he addressed the public, for me, is immaterial. But he addressed Nigeria on that issue. And it was properly carried out. And the man said, look, I am not interested. Aside my age, I am not interested. The constitution does not allow me. And when we keep saying this third time, it's like we think that the third time rests solely on the National Assembly. Never. It involves tinkering with the Constitution, and it has to go to the 30th state of the Federation. So how is that just something that somebody will just wake up and you just think it's the walkover? It's not. So for me, I want to stay with Buhari for now, saying that I am not interested, and I want to stay by that. So any other
But recently, I mean, in the Senate, there was a senator who we heard was seeking a third term for President
People
Buhari.
would always talk, feeling that, okay, I've heard people who say, oh, this is my leader, this is my mentor. We have heard such things. But is it enough? And then the man has said, see, come, I am not interested. So whoever that is taking it, sometimes we have this high service thing in Nigeria. But the man in question, I want to follow the man in question to say, I am not interested. So I want to stay by that.
All right. Buhari's third term agenda, not a matter of trust. You find that story in the Vanguard newspaper. Also in the Vanguard newspaper this morning, there's a caption here that says, border closure, Obasanjo backs Buhari. Border closure, Obasanjo backs Buhari. The former President Olusegun Obasanjo yesterday spoke in favor of Nigeria's partial border closure with neighbors, asking Benin Republic to change its ways for a harmonious bilateral relationship between both countries. Obasanjo spoke on a day former director of Kenyan Anti-Corruption Commission, Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, said in Lagos that Nigeria was too big to be threatened by smaller neighboring countries to resort to the closure of its land borders. The former president made the remark at a briefing in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on the sideline of a two-day policy dialogue of African business associations on implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area (AfCFTA) agreement, co-organized by the African Union, African Development Bank, the AFDB, African Export-Import Bank, among others. Obasanjo, who is the chairman of the Afro Champion Initiative and Coalition of Dialogue Africa Board of Directors, explained that Benin's notoriety was not new, noting Nigeria had for long been enduring the practice which undermined its economic well-being. He said, "It has happened when I was president of Nigeria. I called the then Benin president, Diodon Sogolo, to let us meet at any of our border posts over the issue. We eventually met at Badagry, where we agreed that the Nigerian customs will be stationed in Benin. The Nigerian customs, are still there. We don't have issues with goods manufactured in Benin. They are welcome, but as long as Benin allows dumping of goods, there will always be a problem with Nigeria." He said the economic community of West African states was not created to allow one country turn itself into a dumping ground. Obasanjo said the execution of agreements was crucial to its success and sustainability, noting that the intense support of AfCFTA has received from various member states was a clear indication of its importance. He said it's highly engaged to seeking success of AfCFTA and other multilateral agreements. CODA's work is informed and guided by the notion that no one has monopoly of ideas. He urged more actions beyond words, adding that the fragmented 55 markets, Africa would remain a small player in the global marketplace. Of course, the need for Africa to become one big market. But he went on to say Benin has been notorious for doing this, allowing itself to be a dumping ground, and that has continually hampered trade relations between Benin and Nigeria. He said it happened during his time, and he's not surprised that we have to shut the borders now. But again, I read there somewhere where who from Kenya now was saying Nigeria is too big a nation to be threatened
Lumumba.
by smaller nations. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what he's put. Something about he's the anti-corruption, Kenyan Anti-Corruption Commission, former director of Kenyan Anti-Corruption. He says Nigeria is too big to be threatened by smaller nations.
Yeah, I think it's correct. Let me start from that particular angle. Maybe the voice from Kenya is telling us that Nigeria is too big. He's just telling the obvious. Oftentimes when I hear ECOWAS is fuming about this policy that Nigeria, I say, who is ECOWAS? That exists in them, but ECOWAS is Nigeria. The face of ECOWAS is Nigeria. So it's just like if the United States says they are not backing anything, they stay on their own. You see others to be willing to make sure that they curry favor from America to come and join. That's the way Nigeria is in at least ECOWAS. Let me not go Africa. But that of Chief Obasanjo, I think he has a commendable credential to comment on that, especially being that he mentioned that it happened at his own time and he has to tackle it. Perhaps the president then cooperated, and that's why, according to him,
but not on economic purposes, but for security reasons, where his daughter was also attacked by one, I've forgotten the man's name now, and then